Hello everyone, welcome to Introduction to Data Mining class. In this unit, we will introduce linkage measures. So far, you have learned how to measure distance between two data objects and how to cluster data objects based on their distance measure. You may notice that in the process of clustering, a cluster may hold more than one data object. How can we measure the distance between two clusters if one or both clusters have more than one data object in them? The approach to measure distance between two clusters is known as linkage measure. The linkage measures can be classified into three categories, including single linkage algorithm, complete linkage algorithm, and average linkage algorithm. As aforementioned, linkage measures are various approaches to determine distance between two clusters. Assume we have two clusters CI and CJ as shown in the green and blue oval shapes. Pi represents a data object in CI as shown in the green small circles, and Pj represents a data object in Cj as shown in the blue small circles. The green X mark represents the mean of the green data objects. The blue X mark represents the mean of the blue data objects. We use colored dashed lines to represent distances between Pi and Pj pairs, and use gray solid line to represent the distance between the green and blue X marks. The minimum distance between the two clusters Ci and Cj is defined as the shortest distance among all pairs of Pi and Pj, which is the orange dashed line. The maximum distance between the two clusters Ci and Cj is defined as the longest distance among all pairs of Pi and Pj, which is the red dashed line. The mean distance between the two clusters Ci and Cj is defined as the distance between the mean of Ci and the mean of Cj, which is the gray solid line. The average distance between the two clusters Ci and Cj is defined as the average distance of all pairs of Pi and Pj, which is the average of the four dashed lines. When applying single linkage measure on clustering, the minimum distance is used. As you can see from the hierarchical tree on the right, objects A and B are grouped. Objects C and D are grouped. Objects F and H are grouped. Objects H and J are grouped. When single linkage is used, cluster FG is merged with E as cluster EFG, because the distance between EF is shorter than the distance between DE. After merging EFG as one cluster, cluster EFG is merged with cluster CD as cluster CDEFG because E is closer to D. The distance between BC is less than the distance between GH, and thus cluster CDEFG is merged with cluster AB as cluster ABCDEFG. The remaining two clusters are merged to form one cluster. When applying complete linkage measure on clustering, the maximum distance is used. As you can see, the hierarchical tree on the right, objects AB are grouped, objects CD are grouped, objects FG are grouped, objects H and J are grouped. When complete linkage is used, cluster FG is merged with cluster CD because distance CE and distance GE both greater than the maximum distance between cluster CD and cluster GF. Therefore, cluster CD and cluster GF are merged as cluster CD-GF. Similarly, cluster AB and cluster JH are merged as cluster ABHJ. Because E is closer to cluster CDGF, and thus E is merged with the cluster CDGF as cluster CDEFG. The remaining two clusters are merged to form one cluster.